Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Male Perspective. I am your host, Lana Reid, and today I have with me Jay-Z, and he's going to talk about some wonderful stuff on the show today. He's going to tell us about a revolutionary approach where men can achieve bulletproof confidence, establish mental balance, self-assuredness, and self-esteem. So, Jay-Z, first of all, welcome to the show. Thank you for hanging out with me today.
Thank you, Lana. Pleasure to be here and appreciate you inviting me. Thank you.
So let's just get right in here because I've only got 30 minutes and that's a short period of time to cover a lot of information. So I want to talk about, first of all, this concept, this topic of bulletproof confidence. So could you kind of go into that? Tell us about that, the myth, the fantasy, just break it down for us.
Sure. I feel what we're really talking about today is a revolutionary approach that men can take to achieving bulletproof confidence. And that, what I mean is mental balance, self-assuredness, and self-esteem. Nowadays, bulletproof confidence seems to be like a myth or a fantasy. Like a lot of people don't know what it looks like and they don't know what it feels like, men and women. However, it's been my experience that bulletproof confidence is available to everyone. And I mean, that's if you're shy, fearful, overweight, or ugly. Every man wants to feel confident, powerful, and self-assured. However, it's not how most men feel. And I guess one thing that you could ask yourself is what makes a man feel bulletproof confidence? What enables him to feel that way? And there's a lot of factors involved, but I will start out by saying what it really looks like, okay? It's being able to calmly and fearlessly look anyone in the eye without flinching. That's something that a lot of people don't know what it feels like. Enter a room full of people without a hint of self-consciousness. Boldly and confidently say what they feel without hesitation. Be direct in their speech instead of pausing, overthinking how others may react to them. Going up to a member of the opposite sex and confidently engage them in a conversation. And be who they are without shame, guilt, or apology. And that's a big thing. A lot of people walk around with a sense of apology. You know, I see it a lot where people bump into somebody. They go, "Oh, I'm really sorry," you know, or they're constantly excusing themselves as if they almost like don't have a right to live. They don't have a right to make mistakes. They don't have a right to be human. They don't have a right to have feelings. Okay, and I think that's a very laborious way to live.
Okay.
And very tedious way to live too. And there's nothing enjoyable about it. It's just not.
Yes.
So what is bulletproof confidence? And I mean, if somebody's going to, define that, in my personal definition, it's an unmistakable feeling of self-worth and self-reliance.
Okay.
It's of knowing who you are, of being able to boldly and confidently present yourself to the world without apology, guilt, embarrassment, self-judgment, shame, that's a big one, self-consciousness, and fear. And self-consciousness is a killer. I mean, just think about it. How can you be genuine if you're self-conscious?
That's true.
Right? You can't. If you're filled with shame or you're filled with fear, you cannot be in your body, in your mind, and you will find it impossible to be genuine and to be sincere. It'll all be like it's a show. Like you feel like a phony, a fake. When you don't have it and you have to fake it your whole life, it's like, what are you going to feel for your whole life? You're going to feel like a fake.
That's
okay?
True.
Exactly. So what we're talking about is when a person has bulletproof confidence, it is the only thing in the picture. Everything else disappears. The self-consciousness disappears. There's no, I mean, let's just say this. The picture is so full, bulletproof confidence fills the whole screen of your mind where there is, it's almost like you don't have access to those demeaning
Mm-hmm.
thoughts
Mm-hmm.
and notions that you have about yourself. You
Okay.
don't have any more notions about yourself.
It seems like it's shedding a lot of the subliminal messages that we're taught from early on as a child. You mentioned, when we're bumping into people, like we're not allowed to make mistakes, or we should be more confident in ourselves. But a lot of that is taught to us as children, and we just kind of internalize a lot of that stuff. It
Oh,
seems
you're
like.
100% correct. And to add to that, Lana, is, the masters of self-confidence are children.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why people love to be around children. I mean, my personal feeling about it, this is one of the biggest reasons, because you're seeing some spontaneous being that has no thought and sense of self. The sense of self is something that's learned. It's a learned
Mm-hmm.
mechanism. And you actually just see, when you see this little being without the mental attachments and the notions and all this overlays or
Mm-hmm.
layers of nonsense, you know, this is something enthralling. You can look at a little kid, and I've seen people look at little kids like, wow, just they don't do
Mm-hmm.
anything. Just look, Lana, it's so, and then what they're looking at is, I think part of it is what they're missing.
Yes.
These adults are missing the innocence that a child has, and that they're not self-conscious whatsoever. I mean, they can pull their pants down at a little party,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody's going, ooh, don't do that, and they don't even know what you're doing. They don't
Yes.
care. They don't have that sense about.
Yes, that's true.
So,
That's true.
right.
That's true. But back to, I went off topic here,
Sure.
but back to bulletproof confidence. What prevents somebody from having bulletproof confidence?
It's a very good question. There's a number of factors the way that I see it. And one of them is extremely important. And I don't think a lot of people place a lot of importance on it, but it's something that is the bedrock in a certain way of your confidence now and for the rest of your life.
Mhm.
And that is, people are at odds with themselves. When a man is at odds with himself, when he's doing something in a sneaky way against himself, overeating, smoking, drinking, maybe doing drugs, lying to himself, making excuses for himself, this inner struggle is detracting from that person's sense of confidence. It's impossible to have a sense of confidence in yourself when you're always at odds with yourself. Oh, I shouldn't have this extra plate of spaghetti because it's going to make me overweight,
Mhm.
but I'm going to have it anyway. And now there's the struggle and there's the fight. And this is something I've done a long time ago, is I wrote down, I made a list of all the things that I was doing against myself, all the things that I knew that were wrong about my life, about my actions, and about the way I was thinking. And I wrote them down. And I thought, well, okay, whatever I wrote down is exactly a snapshot of my character right this minute. This is who I am.
Mm.
But this is not who I have to be for the rest of my
That's
life.
true. That's true.
So I decided that, okay, I want to have a sense of confidence, then I have to work on myself. And that working on myself definitely involved, paring away these parts of myself that I wasn't particularly proud of and that I wasn't particularly excited about.
Mm.
And I literally took them in order. I just looked at it, it's like, okay, I'm going to work on this. If I'm overeating spaghetti, I'm going to stop overeating, period. And I'm going to give myself enough reasons why overeating is not good. Because see, right now, it looks like a pleasurable thing to do, but it's causing me pain in the end because I don't feel good about myself. So what I have to do is I have to tell my mind that actually eating a lot of too much spaghetti is actually um, it's a bad thing to do because it makes me feel bad. So now eating spaghetti is a bad thing to do because it makes me feel bad about myself. So I'm framing it differently.
Gotcha.
So you go through this list that you have, and if you work on yourself that way, I mean, it's impossible that you're not going to have some elevated sense of yourself. It's impossible.
Okay.
So another thing might be that you're always late. Okay. And people complain and don't like you for it. And you don't like yourself for it. It's like you're just not disciplined enough to do it. That detracts away from your sense of self confidence.
Okay.
So this is something that a person could and should work on. Okay. So let's just say, there's another, what this is, what I'm really trying to say is that this is a flaw in somebody's character. When you talk about all the things, all the ways that people act in their life and all the things that they do, it is always a reflection of a person's character. So if your character is an elevated character, is true to itself, to yourself, then these flaws in your character are going to be minimized and your confidence is going to be going up. So really what confidence has to do is character. That's what I'm really trying to say.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, in a very, very large way, it is. If somebody that's stealing, for example, from their employer, I mean, they're never going to feel comfortable about themselves in front of their employer or even when they're by themselves. It's just not going to happen. I'd like to add something here that a lot of men have a distorted TV movie image of what confidence is, how a confident man acts and how he looks and how he might dress. Okay. There's a certain swagger, a certain attitude. In most cases, it's not the true picture of confidence. It's just a TV movie image sense of confidence. When a man is filled with himself, okay, when he carries an undue amount of pride or self-importance or impatience, or he's rude or abrupt or inconsiderate or brash or overly bold, unkind, that is not the true picture of confidence. That's arrogance. Okay. And I think that's something that a lot of people, including myself, have gotten wrong for so long myself. Now, there's another big factor, and I think this is more of what the whole 30 minutes is about, is there's things that influence a person's self-image that are not as obvious as what we're talking about. They're actually sometimes completely hidden from our own point of view. And that is the collective unconscious that every one of us carries with us.
Okay.
And
can you elaborate on, because that's a unique term, collective unconscious?
Yeah, the collective unconscious is, from what I understand it to be, it's let's just say an amalgamation of all the thoughts you've ever had, all the feelings you've ever had, every experience you've ever had, positive or negative, every word that was said to you, every notion that you've picked up. For example, if you're in a restaurant and somebody bumps into you, your notion is they're supposed to say, "I'm sorry." And if they don't, then they're rude. And then now if they're rude, you're going to possibly get into a fight with them. I have a different feeling about that. I don't have the concept that goes along with that tangent. If somebody bumps into me, I'm just the kind of person that'll say, "I'm sorry," even though they bumped into me, even though they dropped their drink on me, because what I've done is transcended that concept. That concept does not have an effect on me anymore. Okay. Yeah. So, to elaborate a little bit more what the collective unconscious is, it's, let's just say that you are a makeup of all the thoughts and feelings you've ever had and all the experiences you've had. That's a collective unconscious. Now, the way I see it, I'm going to add something to that. The collective unconscious has, in the way I see it, is a terrain. So it's sort of like a terrain, like a landscape. Okay. And let's just say that if somebody has anger issues, okay, anger, and to be angry, you would have to have you'd have to have a notion, which is like a thought. Now, a thought proceeds from the next step into the feeling or the emotion, which is, I am angry. Okay. Anger is a thought. Let's say that the beginning point is a thought, and a thought is made of material substance. That material substance is made of molecules. We'll say it's molecules.
Okay.
But that anger exists on a molecular level.
Okay.
And your body is made of molecules. So it exists on this plane and it affects you in this body.
Okay.
But molecules are made of atoms.
Mm-hmm.
And that anger being a molecular particle made of molecular material also resides or exists on an atomic level too. Okay. So the atoms in your body and the molecules in your body have this anger embedded in them. And it goes down to neutrino, quarks, all the way down. So this anger is not just, it's a multidimensional aspect of yourself. It exists in the material realm in all these dimensional levels of your body. Okay. So this is what you carry with you. So when people say, okay, let's have some therapy, we're going to get rid of your anger, it's like you're always working on it on the surface level of this anger. But who's going to be able to touch all the way down to where it really comes from?
Okay. Understood.
That's a little bit hard to do, right?
Understood.
So,
yeah, because I'm thinking because I've bumped into quite a few people who are massive anger issues, and usually it's tied to some perception of disrespect, and they continuously go to these classes or these therapists or whatever, but it never seems to resolve itself. But now that you point out that they're not really honing in on what the actual problem is, that it's some layers underneath that they're not getting to, is why they're not really getting to the resolution to their anger issues.
Perfect.
Gotcha.
It's a history that they're not dealing with. They're dealing with this part of the history, but the history is very deep. So what happens is to resolve that issue, and this is a little bit about myself here. About 20 years ago, I had, my own journey within myself, of self-improvement, we'll call it like that. And I just thought, well, geez, this is a real pain. And this is not easy stuff, And I thought, wouldn't it be amazing if there was an effortless way to change yourself, where it's not a special diet, and it's not a special routine you have to do, and it's not a special mantra that you have to talk about, and it's not a special affirmation, I'm a great person, I'm a great person. It's nothing to do with that. Wouldn't that be nice to be able to make it and offer that? So for the last 10 years, that's exactly what I've been doing. I've been working on that particular thing. And what I came up with here is a formula, a botanical formula, okay, which, let's just say this. When you have a plant, whatever it is, let's say chamomile, and you take chamomile and you make a tea of it and you drink it, and then let's say you start feeling relaxed, okay. What is going on? It's not the chamomile leaves and flowers that are actually making you calm. It's the healing code inside that flower, the chamomile flower, that is in effect making you calm. So what I have been able to do using the technology that I have, the hardware and software that I have, I've been able to extract the therapeutic healing code or healing blueprint of a particular flower essence. And this is all that's in this remedy that I make. The flower essence, I've been able to extract that and imprint that or embed that into little sugar pellets, really tiny, tiny little pellets. And what happens is when a person takes that, that combination remedy that I have works on all these different aspects of a person's self, okay? And what it does is it has a harmonic frequency to it, because the healing code really is a frequency. So all these frequency codes are in the formula. You take the 3 pellets, they're sugar pellets, and what happens is these healing codes begin to act on that collective conscious terrain. So it goes in there and it balances out that all these aberrant, imbalanced thoughts. These are all imbalances because you see, a little child doesn't have that imbalance. That's why he looks balanced.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so all these things like I'm not a good person, I'm ugly, I'm clumsy, or all these feelings people have, all these are aberrant, imbalanced thoughts. But the remedy itself imprints itself onto that layer, molecular level, that we're talking about right now. And it imprints itself on that molecular level and balances that out effortlessly. There's nothing to do. You don't have to think anything different. It's just balancing you out. And all of a sudden, you start feeling like, how come I'm not that nervous anymore with people when I go to work? And how come I'm more relaxed and more amiable and more loquacious? Or, what's going on? Like you start, it's almost like you can't even attribute it. It's such a deep, deep change in yourself that it's below your subconscious. You don't even know that you're actually changing. So, and this is what starts taking place. But what's really interesting, I think, is that this starts a chain reaction, Lana, where that molecular dimensional level, where this anger exists, for example, and like I told you, it exists on atomic level and all these different levels of your body. Once this resolves this terrain at the molecular level, remember, molecules are made of atoms. So within the molecule itself is an atom. So there's another layer it touches because it's all like the same. It's just multidimensional level. So it balances at the atomic level, and then it balances at the neutrino level automatically without touching it. When you stop taking the remedy, it still works. So this is what makes it a little bit different, is that it's not, at one particular point, it doesn't, you're just still changing. You start becoming more moralistic too. You start becoming more compassionate. You start becoming more kind. And the reason why is because you don't have all this stuff in the way anymore. You're not filtering your reality through all this stuff that was used to be in the collective unconscious. It resolves itself. It's gone. So what happens is you start becoming genuine. Okay. And it's almost like you slip into a different mode than you ever were before, because you start operating from a very logical level. Like, okay, there's 500 people in this room and I have to give a speech. I've never gave a speech in front of 500 people before. I should be nervous. I mean, that seems like, but there's another part of you that's after you get past this point where it was collective consciousness cleaning out itself, you start looking at it logically and say, well, I don't see a reason, logically speaking, why I should be nervous. So everything starts going into another realm where you can, this is a term that I've heard before, mentalk it out, meaning that you can analyze this pretty quickly and say, well, I don't see there's any reason to be afraid. So you start, that's your state of mind now. You don't have to be self-conscious.
So you offer a botanical formula, and I think I heard you say they take the 3 pellets. Is it to start to be effective? Do they have to take the 3 pellets a certain period of time, once a day, or is it?
Good question. They take it once a day.
Okay.
It's not necessary to take it more. Some people might think, oh, I'll speed up the process if I take it 5 times a day. It's like, no, you will not speed up the process, because I've calibrated this thing and taken so many examples with myself and others that I have the right formula and the right dosage. If you take more of it, you're just wasting your money. Okay. And here's the thing. This is not, some people may think, oh, flower, oh, come on, or no, really, they might think that, or they might just think like, it's just all in your head. And it's like, okay, let me tell you a little story. And this happened, now I'm talking with people, I'm speaking a different language, so they don't know what I'm even doing. And I just say, okay, I want you to give this to your child, your 5-year-old kid who has come over to my house for 3 months and never looked at me once and never said one word. So I thought, okay, this probably has to do with the fact that his mother threw him in the river and tried to drown him when he was 5 months old and abandoned him when he was 5 months old. So he's traumatized. So this is what I thought. I mean, so this remedy is not going to really help him. And one day I thought, well, maybe there's some part of it could help him. So I gave it to the mom and dad when they were going to dinner. And I said, tell me if there's any difference in your child. Call me up and let me know. So they said there was a very big one. He started talking and all kinds of stuff. So I asked him to come over the house. I said, I want to observe him. I want to see. And sure enough, he opened the door for me. He was playing with me first time. He was excited to see me. I don't know why you would be. Just kidding. But he was just another person. And 6 days later, he was normal. I mean, it was impossible for you not to see that he was normal. Now, I want to tell you something else about the remedy is that it erases the past. And I'll tell you why it erases the past. It's because these notions are from the past. And these imbalances in that celestial terrain of yours are in the past. Remember, it is in the past. These are memories, stored memories, right? Well, when it balances it out, it has the effect of erasing it. And here's a great example. I sent this remedy to somebody in Singapore. And before I sent it to him, I said, do you have social anxiety? And they said, no, I don't think so. I said, well, are you afraid of people? I said, oh yeah, I'm really afraid of people. I said, that's social anxiety. I said, okay, let me give you a remedy. I'll call you in 3 days. Call in 3 days. I said, do you feel any effective yet? And they said, no, I don't think so. I can't really pinpoint anything. I said, are you afraid of people anymore? She said, oh no, just nonchalantly. She said, oh no, I don't feel afraid of people. And I said, wait a minute, 3 days ago, you said you were afraid of people. Now you're saying you're not afraid of people, but you didn't know that you changed. She said, no, I'm not aware of that. But now that you said that, it's true. I'm not afraid. This is what I'm talking about. It happens at such a deep level that you many, many times are not consciously aware of it. And so you can doubt all you want, like this is going to work, but it's working at a level that you may not notice straight away. Your friends might notice, like this girl here, she couldn't work because she was afraid to leave the house. And if she ever got in her car, she had panic attacks with one person or 10 people, didn't matter. And she had them continually. And she doesn't have it anymore. She said she feels normal because now she can do karaoke in front of people, and she's got a really nice voice, and she's not nervous anymore. So, I mean, my whole point of that is in saying that is that it operates at a very deep level, and you sometimes will not be able to tell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Other people might be able to say, "Hey, you look
You've
much
changed,
more calmer."
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I'm curious, and I don't know if you can tell because I understand there's certain, but you did mention that it contains a flower. Is that the only contents in the pill? Is the flower?
No, there is no flower.
Oh.
I know, Lana. I know. That's what's cool about this is that there is no scent of these flowers, and there is no taste, and there is no particles of these flowers. Okay, what I'm really saying to you is that if you looked under a microscope, you wouldn't find anything related to flowers. That's all you would see is the 100% pure sugarcane pellets.
Okay.
So what we're dealing with here is a magnetic resonance blueprint. I am just imprinting, this remedy just imprints our harmonic blueprint into your subconscious, your collective unconscious terrain, and just balances it out. If it's not balanced, it balances it. That's all it does, and it's invisible. Okay. You can't, and somebody might say, well, how could something so small affect you that big? And it's like, well, if you understood the science behind it, which I really couldn't explain right here, say for a minute or two or talking about it, it's you would understand that has the smallest particles of matter of a particular healing code works at a very, very deep level. Now, let me give you an example. When you take chamomile, okay, like everybody knows it makes you calm, it makes you sleep. It's a physical substance. There it is, right? You put in your tea, and you have a physical body. So it's going to have a physical effect on you. But why do you have to take it the next day to go to sleep? Because it's a physical, it's a physical, yeah, and that's all. But this remedy here is not, if I were to take the blueprint, the healing magnetic frequency of chamomile, and I was to put it in these sugar pellets that I'm telling you about, it would have a very profound effect for a long period of time. It wouldn't just, it would resolve issues, not just, resolves issues. And we're talking about psychological, physical, mental, and emotional, you know. So this in a sense is let's just say it's almost like a premier health, let's say mental health remedy, you know, which just works on many levels. And this is the thing that I was talking about before, is that it's a shortcut to all the stuff that everybody's dealing with. It could just shortcut it all. Oh, you have a problem with self-consciousness? No problem. It takes care of that. You have a problem with anger? You're going to find out that being angry is illogical. You're going to find it's illogical, but you don't have that perspective right now because you still are filtering everything through your collective unconscious terrain. So you can't see that that's illogical. When that when that collective unconscious terrain is balanced, then you're not filtering your life experiences through anything except reality. That's reality. And that's what makes a person be spontaneous. Why is a person not spontaneous? Because they are thinking about what you're going to say if I say this, and if you're going to think highly of me. But when all of this stuff is, all these notions are gone, then you can just be yourself. And you know what? It doesn't bother you that sometimes you're going to say the wrong thing.
Awesome. I love the sound of all of that. Now, before we wrap up, I want to ask a question, and then we will get to giving the information where people can connect with you and get this formula. But you said that you started this process in your own journey, and your own journey started 20 years ago.
Yeah.
How long have you been working on this formula?
I would say different aspects of it. Okay. Probably about 15 years, but I would say the core of it would be about 10 years.
Okay.
I mean, we're talking about it's not something where you should go, I'm going to start today, but you know, you're in the process of starting, and then you get serious about doing something. But anyhow, about that long.
I love it. I love it. You know, this is so many people are struggling with things in society, and especially when I talk to a lot of younger generation individuals, your millennials, Generation Zers, and they're really struggling with a lot of the issues that you talk about: self-esteem, confidence, you know, being assured. It's just something about that particular generation. I guess maybe being behind technology and social media has made them really not really feel so confident about themselves, but it really seems like something that would be a good fit for them especially. But it just really sounds very intriguing the work that you've been doing. Yeah.
And let me just add one thing real quickly, and I know we're running out of time here, is that this is not something just for this. Okay. This is like, let's just say you're married, you're getting divorced. Okay. You lost your pet. There's a natural disaster. You lost your job. A breakup, boyfriend, girlfriend breakup. You know, all the traumas, the daily traumas that come up in people's lives, this remedy, what it does is it allows you to see everything just the way it is, without all that emotional content and without all that mental confusion. So you're really able to look at things and just say, okay, well, this is my life today. I mean, yeah, it's raining and I have to walk in my car, and my car broke down, and this is my reality right now. Okay, I'm cool. You know, it's not like you're bemoaning your fate and you're thinking life is unfair. It's like you just slip into a different mode. I'm telling you, this is something when you tell a person, do you know what it feels like to have a sense of yourself where you feel being yourself is exhilarating? Most people would not get that. It's like being yourself should be an exhilarating experience.
That's right. That is true. That
And
is very true.
it should be like a bristling feeling. You should have that sense about yourself, not just, this is not, flaky stuff and snowflake stuff. This is the true feeling that you carry with you. It's an excitement. You're excited. And sometimes you don't even know why. And you don't have to know why.
Yeah. I'm just happy to be me. All righty, JZ, we're going to do the random question, and then I'm going to give you an opportunity to plug your website. Now, these questions are random now.
Beautiful. I love it.
See what we got here. Okay. If your waiter or waitress was a total jerk, do you still leave a tip?
Let's see. Would I leave a tip? No.
Okay. You are, we talked about this before the show. You're a New Yorker, so you guys have a plethora of restaurant options, and that whole customer service thing is a thing for you New Yorkers there.
Well, what the biggest thing is, I wouldn't want to reward somebody that I rewarded them for their behavior, for their, that's all. It's not because I don't want to be, it would be actually against my principles to give him a tip.
Well, my thing, I think, talking with you today, maybe the tip could be you could slide him 3 pellets. Maybe it would change.
That's cute.
All righty, JZ, you go ahead and tell everybody how they connect with you and get some Bulletproof Confidence and learn more about your product and you as well.
Okay. Well, you could go to myworstfears.com, my worst, WORST, fears with an S, FEARS.com, myworstfears.com. But I have a special thing I wanted to do for Lana's audience, that being you. And whatever you see on the homepage as far as pricing goes, it's completely different.
Okay.
And so put down myworstfears.com/promo, PROMO, promo.
Okay.
And you will see that we have some really nice surprises for you. Now, do keep in mind that with this coronavirus situation, we do have a supplier problem, which is basically there's about 4 different components that we have, and those 4 components are on hold. So if you did want this remedy and lock in this price here, that's all you have to do is just send a little email and say, make reference to Lana's show, and just say, and it would be info, INFO at myworstfears.com, and I'll hold that for you for 1 year, that price.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. That's nice. A nice year. Okay. Yeah. So everybody hear that. myworstfears/promo.
No, myworstfears.com.
myworstfears.com/promo.
Promo, you got it.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Well, JZ, I have so enjoyed talking to you today and learning about what you're doing. That's some unique stuff that you got going on over there.
I think so.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. Thank you for making time for me today, and hope you're staying safe in this COVID-19 madness that we've got going on in the world today.
I love it.
You love it. Okay. All righty. Thank you. Well, that is all for this week's episode of The Male Perspective. I am your host, Lana Reid, and I will see everybody next time.